So apparently we all got trolled. We got, trolled by the news articles, we got trolled by Kubo, we all got trolled this week when it comes to Bleach. Because we come to find out, with this chapter's release, the newest chapter that came out today, this isn't the final chapter. But next week, or not necessarily next week, because next week is break week for Weekly Shonen Jump. After that, that is the final chapter, and apparently there's some form of big, important news announcement, which was right in the front of the page. Like, soon as the chapter began, right on the front page, big news announcement. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I don't think it's going to be a continuation of the manga. If there is a continuation, it would mean that Kubo, I believe, would probably move out of Shonen Jump magazine and go to somewhere else, maybe a seinen magazine, for he won't be rushed. But whatever the case may be, though, this chapter trolled the fuck out of all of us, for different reasons. Many different reasons. And I gotta say, even though I know that I'm upset with how you could look at this chapter, because if you look at last week's chapter, where it ended, and when you look at this chapter, where it began, it's a 10-year time skip. Like, in the story, it's a 10-year time skip, and we don't even get to see, like, the aftermath of the fight with Joha Bach and Ichigo. We don't even get to see any clarification of what happens to Aizen. But on another note, this chapter, besides these obvious flaws that, the previous chapters beforehand that, that hasn't been answered, like a lot of these different questions, this chapter, at the end of the day, if I'm just counting it by itself, like its chapter by itself, nothing else, it was a good chapter. Like, if I'm not counting anything beforehand or afterwards, it was a solid chapter. But besides that, there's other things I need to get into. Kubo has set up something here that could be potentially something amazing and could save the manga of Bleach easily, if Kubo goes that direction, which I'm going to explain. So, earlier portions of this chapter, if you look very closely, go back to the beginning of the chapter and you'll see what I'm talking about, you will see this little black aura coming out between the crack of the ground. And as we know, if you look at last week's chapter, Bach, he was expanding his entire self across the entire world. And he was taking over, and you just saw this darkness all around. And if you look at it closely from last week's chapter, that's what we see in this week's chapter. We see a little bit of speck of darkness just coming out through a crack, and that instantly lets us know that that's Joha Bach. That's fucking Bach. And at the end of the chapter, it lets us know that apparently something similar to happened 10 years ago. Joha Bach, it's similar to that. Kubo has set this up with this chapter for two things entirely. Since he's setting up a threat, either A, next week's chapter, you have it to where Bach or something is going to pop up again, and then it's going to be defeated, and then it's in-game. GG, end of series. Or B, Joha Bach, he's alive. Everything that they've all been seeing is some form of memory, or I guess the future. Like, the future that Bach can see, and he takes everything away from everyone and kills everybody. Into Bleach. Think about that for a second. What if Kubo, which, as I said, I would like it. It'd be a very unshonen way to end the series, and it would also kind of be, in a way, a middle finger to Weekly Shonen Jump if the villain won. What if Bach is alive? And what we saw in this chapter was what could be. At their happiest. And then Bach comes back next week, kills everybody. Everybody fucking dies. Everybody dies. End of story. Just think about that. I mean, that's the only way Kubo could possibly make this end on a good note. And clearly Kubo is making this manga very self-aware. There's a lot of self-aware moments in this chapter, and Kubo is definitely trolling. Let me explain. The beginning of the chapter is called The Perfect End. Perfect End. Perfect End. Perfect End. Is this perfect? Looking at the previous chapters now, okay? Look at the previous chapters, looking at this, since it is the finale, since, the next chapter is over. It was even announced in this chapter now, and we actually got confirmation. With that being said, there's just no way this is the perfect end, okay? It's not. No. So, Kubo's saying something like that. It's kind of like him trolling. Like, this is, yeah, here you go, perfect end. This is what Shonen Jump wanted me to do. And on another note, though, you could think at it as, what if Juha Bach is about to win? He's about to just say GG to the entirety of Soul Society, and he's about to kill everyone. What if? That could possibly happen. Now, there's other things, too, in this chapter that I noticed. You also have it to where there was a Bankai discussion. Oh my. You had it to where, literally, Kubo, I don't know if it's a translation error, I have no idea, it could be some translation errors there, but in the panel that we got in this chapter, you have it to where there's a discussion about how our character and many other characters, this can be applied to many characters, even Aizen, hasn't been able to show their Bankai, because, you know, the obvious rushing of Weekly Shonen Jump, what they've done to Kubo. So, the Bankai discussion got brought up in this chapter. Like, straight up, it's like the fourth wall got broken. It's like Kubo is just, you know, making fun of how he couldn't show all these things off. And you have it to where, oh, I used my Bankai, I actually used it, but oh, we didn't get to see it. You sure you even have one? You sure about that? You sure you're not lying? And I'm laughing because it's like Kubo, he's, right now, he knows what everybody feels. He knows how everybody feels about this ending conclusion of Bleach. He knows that it's rushed. He knows all these things he had set up to probably conclude are getting completely rushed, and he can't answer them. So now he's just picking fun at his finale. I mean, look, the perfect end. Now you have it to where he's making fun of how he couldn't reveal certain Bankais, and then maybe even Bach could possibly come back now and kill everyone. I mean, it could possibly be a very good chapter. The final chapter could be a very good chapter, because I'm going to say, if it does end on a happy note, it's not going to be good. Let's just be honest here, okay? Even if Bach wins, it's still not going to be the best ending ever. It won't, because all these questions we had will not get answered. They won't, okay? No matter what, regardless of how the ending is, either way, all the questions that the series has remaining are not going to get answered. We gotta make do with what we have, and I really hope Kubo goes down the path of having Bach actually making this all like an illusion, and maybe even Aizen, all this is a fucking illusion, it's according to plan, and then he becomes the Soul King. I mean, I would like that. I would really like that if that's what happened too. I mean, if Aizen straight up was the mastermind behind everything, or if, you know, Juha Bach was, I'm fine with either one. I'd be very happy with that, because at the very least, it's something you would normally not expect. And if it does go the way I just talked about, it'll be a very fantastic ending. At the very least, it'll be a lot better way to go out than what is currently going on, what could possibly happen. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.